They're terrible this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Oh man. Okay, so hey everybody, it's Wednesday. We're recording a Monday show, but it is Wednesday. It's hard to remember sometimes. Glad to have you here. Amanda's joining us from down in Texas. I forgot to tell you, Amanda, one time
Yeah.
I've been in Houston for 24 hours of my life.
There you go. 24
Drove,
hours. I'll take it.
I drove, this is before I flew. I was scared to fly back then. I drove all the way to Houston from St. Louis, got to do a NASA event at Johnson Space Center, got to
Yeah.
tour all the facilities, and then just drove home the next morning. It was crazy. It was 100% worth it. But what I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
realize is that there's no interstate. I want to say from like Dallas to Houston.
Yep.
Like I went
Yep.
through like every small town, like Missouri City. I remember that because I'm from Missouri. Like I
Yep.
went through all these small towns, like every small town for like hours. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I was like, whoa, in the middle of the night.
That's driving in Texas for you.
Interstate. It was crazy. Yeah, but it was so worth it. I got all the and I had to go all the way down because I got to Houston. I had to go all the way to get on to Galveston just so I could see the water because I knew a lot
Yeah.
of the astronauts will fly their T-38s over Galveston.
Yeah.
All the books I read, so I had to see that. It's kind of cool. It was
That
very,
is
very
cool.
cool area. All right, so we're going to record a show about Amanda's trip in February around the Super Bowl, which we won't talk about the team that won the Super Bowl, even though my
Nope.
dad is hanging with them right now out in Los Angeles. And we'll have a good time. So we got a little Bay Lake Tower, got some kids, we got some stories, we got a lot of fun. Ooh, let me hit this.
Yep.
Some people in here. Let's see, tweet. Da, 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 da. JD's here. Hey JD, how you doing? I don't even know what you do every day. I don't know what I was saying. So it's been a day. Okay, so we are getting ready to record. So let's do this for Monday, episode 2133. Here we go. Welcome to episode 2133 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Of course, happy Monday to you. Hope you had another wonderful weekend. Got to spend some time with friends and family. It's almost back to school time. So, kids, get in those last swims. Well, maybe not. I mean, if you're in the South, you might already be back in school. I hate to say that, but if you're in the Northeast, hey, happy midway through your summer break. It's really not fair. But whatever you're doing, hope you're having a great beginning of your August, and you're just hanging out with us here on the podcast, having a great time and ready to have just a great week. Let's make this an awesome week. And we're going to do that by kicking it off with another fun trip report. And I can't wait to talk about this because we're going to talk a little Bay Lake Tower. We're going to talk about the times when the days were cooler, not so hot, because we're going to go to a place where it may be more hot and it may be more humid than Walt Disney World and the Be Our Guest podcast studios in lovely St. Peters, Missouri. We're headed down to Houston, Texas with listener Amanda. Amanda, thanks for coming on the show today. How you doing?
Yeah. Good. How about you, Mike?
I'm doing great. Love doing these trip report shows because we get to
Yeah.
hear it's a virtual trip, I mean, it's all the trip, no humidity. So
Oh, yeah.
there we
You
go. We're
know,
inside.
give away the humidity. I don't want it anymore.
That's right. Okay, so something I've been asking our listeners over the past couple of weeks, just to kind of switch it up here, is you mentioned earlier to me you're from Houston, down in
Yes.
Texas, Astros fan. So we'll leave that there. Jimmy, good friend Jimmy down in Houston, he's going to be glad to hear that. But I don't know if you're like from Houston proper, or if you're like from a suburb or a smaller area within Houston, but what's something your area of the world, like your very specific area of the world, might be known for that nobody else would know about? Like, what is kind of the claim to fame with like where you're from right now that maybe the whole world might not know?
Ooh. Man, that's a tricky one for me. So I am in a suburb of Houston and Katy, so I'm on the west side of Houston. Um, we have something that's kind of cool. There's some old rice towers down in Houston, in Katy in particular. And they're really cool to look at. You can kind of see them off of I-10 as you're kind of driving west. It's something cool just to see. And they have like a brewery and stuff down there, and they'll have food trucks and stuff every once in a while. So it's something cool to check out. It's not really, I mean, Katie's not really known for anything in particular, but that's just something really cool to check out if you are in Houston and end up in Katy for some reason. So yeah.
See, I like knowing that, though we could kinda
Yeah,
learn a little bit about the world. We don't I thought Katy was up near Dallas, so see, I learned that today. I
there you
didn't
go.
I mean, I would imagine high school football Friday night lights getting ready to kick off down
Oh,
there pretty
yes.
big, right? I
Oh,
mean,
yes.
you're right,
Yep.
yeah. I gotta do that so because we do it here. We're in our new school district. I'm so excited. We moved here 3 years ago. We do Friday night lights in our district like nobody's business. I love it, but I mean, I know it's nothing like Texas because
Oh, yeah.
I drove to Houston one time and I just went through small town after small town and I was going by, is that a junior college? Is that a university? No, that's a high school stadium. I'm like, what
Yeah,
is
they have some massive stadiums down here for sure.
all
Yeah.
right? So let me ask you this too about your background with
Mhm.
Disney. So did you grow up with it? Is this something you had since birth, or did you kind of just fall into it through a relative or a significant other? What's your Disney backstory?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Arizona. That's my hometown. We didn't really go to Disneyland a ton. I'm the daughter of immigrants, and so money was pretty tight growing up. But we loved the Disney Channel. My brother and I would watch it all the time. So when we did go to Disneyland, it was a huge treat for us. I mean, huge. I remember growing up and watching some of the promos for like Tower of Terror when it first opened on Disney Channel. They were promoting that like crazy. And I always wanted to go to Disney World. I actually never got the chance to until 2019. So, right before COVID was my first trip. And I became an addict pretty quickly. I already loved Disney growing up. So, it was a pretty easy addiction. And so, here I am, trying to do a trip a year if I can, but it's been great. I love it.
I'm right with you. I'm trying to make up for lost time because I never got to
Yep.
go on vacation as a kid either. We just didn't really have the means, and I played a lot of competitive baseball. My dad was like, "Playing baseball, we don't have time for travel." So I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I didn't. It was the things like where I grew up, like nobody really traveled in our neighborhood. We were kind of very, blue collar area, and you just didn't really notice it. If people would travel, they went like to the lake and went fishing. And my dad wasn't a fisher. He wasn't a fisherman or anything. So you just didn't notice it. It wasn't
Yeah.
like nowadays. So I don't, I didn't get to go down there until I was in college. But I like you, I'm trying to make up for lost time. Now you
Yeah, for
mentioned because
sure.
you were in Arizona, so Disneyland was where you went first, or
Yes.
well, okay.
Yeah.
Tell me just real quick because again, now I'm like, I got this Disneyland thing because I'm so excited because I just got to get out there last month and I just fell in love with the place.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't stop looking at the pictures and like I couldn't believe I was worried I wasn't going to be it was going to be too small or I was going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Everything was the opposite. I loved everything.
Oh,
But what
yeah.
was your reaction going the opposite direction from having a little experience with Disneyland and the first time you go to Walt Disney World and everything's like massively larger.
Yeah, it was overwhelming. You know, I think obviously the podcast helped me a lot with the planning stages of it. I actually went with my best friend. So it was adults only the first trip. So I wanted to do it right before I took my kids, get everything I want to do out of the way. It was definitely a lot for me to take in the first time, but I mean, I was loving every minute of it. We had dining reservations up the wazoo. We did everything that we possibly could have planned into that trip, and we were nonstop. I still have that nostalgia for the Disneyland rides personally. So every time I do go to Disney World, I'm like, this just, it's not the same. It's not the same, but I love both. So,
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I love that, when I went to Disneyland, I know it's an audio podcast, but I'm holding up my little paper ticket that I used every day,
yep,
for 5
yep.
days to get in, my little 5-day little park hopper ticket and, my little plastic key to the magic card instead of a
Yes,
magic band. It was just different. It was
yes,
novel, it was almost like going back in time for me because that's how things were at World a decade ago. And
yeah,
yeah, I'm a nostalgic person. So if you throw me into anything that's got any kind of nostalgia, I'm in. So I was in my happy place times
oh
10. But
yeah,
let's get to your trip here that you took
yeah.
in February. So how did this trip come together? Why'd you pick that time of year? And I know it was extended folks. So how did you guys all decide you wanted to go, together and at the same time?
Yeah, so actually, this was supposed to be a February 2021 trip, but with COVID still kind of in its height, we decided to postpone. It was my husband and I's 10th anniversary in 2021. So that was kind of the reasoning. We knew the weather was going to be great, we knew crowds were going to be a little bit low. So we really wanted to do that time frame. When we had to postpone, we said, we still want to do this. Let's just do the same time we were thinking. It literally, the dates were almost identical. And so we planned it for 2022. And my husband's sister they've gone quite a few times with their kids, and we asked, hey, do you guys want to come along? Just come join us. It'll be a good big group. So it ended up being 10 of us. My sister-in-law's family, so her husband, her three kids, which are 13, 11, and 7, and my two kids that are 7 and 4, and then my mom and my husband. So it was a pretty big group, but it was a blast.
I say this all the time, but when you get to go to Walt Disney World with family or with a group of friends, I say this is even more true, even with cruising. With a group, it's way more fun because
Oh
the
yeah.
thing is, like, I've sailed many times with just my family, and we have a blast. Don't get me wrong; you don't have to be with a group, but there's so many times, like when you're in a game show, like on a cruise, or you're doing some kind of a trip, like a pub trivia, when you have like, a group of 10 or 15, it's your whole family, you can kind
Yeah.
of break up into, 3 or 4 teams that compete against each other. And then you get to, be a part
Yeah.
of all the stories. When you're sharing the stories you get home, like you're all in the story, it's like
Yes.
you were calling it like, oh yeah, remember when, that kid did this and your kid was terrible and my kid was
Yeah.
good that night. I know.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh yeah.
it's like you get to brag. All right. I'm always curious about this. So when you
Yeah.
have multiple parties involved, like tell me about your planning. Like, did you use any technology? Did you guys have like meetings in person? How'd you guys like decide on like, ADRs and where you're going to stay and just scheduling things out? Like, how does everybody get their voice heard?
Yeah, so my sister-in-law basically gave me the reins, which I mean, you never know how that's gonna go, but
That's actually the
she
best way, in my opinion. I mean, if
it was
somebody's
good.
passionate, knows kind of what they're doing, it's better not to have too many cooks in the kitchen. It just gets
Yeah.
crazy.
She really was like, "Hey, I know this is your thing, take it and run." We knew we wanted to stay near Magic Kingdom because our kids are so little. We wanted ease of access to Magic Kingdom and Epcot. And we wanted a slightly bigger room because my mom was coming with us. So we wanted her to feel comfortable as well, and not, we didn't want 5 people crammed in a room. So we did do a 1 bedroom at Bay Lake Tower. We thought that was perfect. So that was a pretty easy sell. My sister in law actually ended up staying at the Contemporary, which obviously is just, a quick walk. So she was definitely fine with that. In terms of all the other planning, she basically just said, "Hey, just take it and go." So we knew for our kids it was their very first time, so a lot of it, was my decision, and I would just run it by her and say, "Hey, you cool with this? I'm going to make an ADR for Chef Mickey's on Sunday. You good with that?" And she'd be like, "Yeah, that's fine. Totally, just do it."
That
We did, yeah,
That's how
we
you do
did.
it. I'll tell you
It
what,
was
because when
good.
when I go down and Scott goes down, I have Scott dudes do all the planning. He's like,
Yeah,
"Do you care if we?" I'm like, "Scott, I do not care. Just
yeah,
schedule the ADRs. I'll show up. Just tell me what time. I'll eat anywhere, and it
yeah,
doesn't matter, what park. I don't doesn't matter. We'll have a good time. Because it takes all the stress off for everybody. Because then
yes.
you don't have to worry about trying to meet everybody's expectations, and everybody else just like, "Whew, I don't have to do it."
Oh yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah, so so it was good. I mean, we did plan to take a private shuttle from the airport just because it was 10 of us, and cost-wise, we were like,
Right.
it just makes sense. So we did, plan that out a little bit, but yeah, I mean, my sister-in-law was just like, "Here, take Genie Plus, do whatever you want to do, make all the plans." So yeah, I love it. So I was not complaining about having to deal with all that.
And I love Greg's Leanne is in our is in our live chat. It says, "Yes, let the planners plan."
Yep.
Woohoo! Yes, that's exactly right. I mean, if it's your passion, take advantage. If you're lucky enough to have that person traveling with you, hey man, take advantage. That is an asset,
Oh
and
yeah.
use it to your advantage. Okay,
Agreed.
you mentioned you took a private shuttle though. Do you remember who that was? And can you give a review? Because that's one of the questions I get the most is trying to get from
Ooh,
Magical Express Runaway. Do you remember?
I
Do you
am
guys take like a did
trying.
you guys just take like a shuttle? Like, was it a van? Would
No,
you
it was a private van service. I cannot think of the name off the top of my head, and I should have written it
That's
down.
okay. No, it's
But
fine. I just wanna know because some people, like, get limos, some people get, like,
yeah,
party buses.
it
It's all
was it was a van, and who we used, they actually did have multiple options. We chose a van. They did provide car seats for the little ones, which was definitely a huge perk for us. They were wonderful. I would definitely use them again. So
You can just let me know after the show, and what I'll
yeah,
do is
for
I'll tweet
sure.
it out just in case people are curious, because if you had a good experience, I don't mind promoting that business because it's
Yeah,
good
definitely.
for
I'll
everybody.
send it your way.
Great. Okay, so now let's talk about travel, okay? Because you guys coming from Texas, I don't know, driving, flying, and you had little ones, you got your
Mhm.
parents, everybody. So how was the travel? Because travel at the beginning of it's still not perfect. But the
Yeah.
beginning of this year, it was really sketchy with the airlines and with just kind of getting from point A to point B. What about you guys?
Yes.
How did it go down getting there?
Yeah, so actually we were blessed in that we had no delays, no issues. We flew straight out of, for those familiar with Houston, Hobby Airport on Southwest. So that was a really quick flight for us. My sister and her family came from Baltimore, and they found times that were very similar to ours. So that was all great. We both arrived pretty much at the same time, which was great. Got our luggage, got on the shuttle, and went. We had no problems whatsoever, which I am definitely grateful for.
So lucky, especially with multiple parties. That's what I was worried
Yes.
about. I was like, if you're coming from different places, who knows? Because one person gets delayed, then it's like, oh my gosh, like we were gonna ride together. Now we got to schedule somebody else to get from here. Either they're gonna have to Uber,
Yep.
it
Yep.
causes all kinds of dominoes to fall. But one other thing I want to ask you though, how did you
Mhm.
guys get the kids amped up for the trip before the trip? Because I know we're all big kids, right? We're going to Disney
Yes.
World. I'm 48. I get amped up, but you gotta also do something for the kids. You gotta get them excited, like, they're gonna be asking you questions or pumped up. What'd
Yes.
you do pre-trip to really, just really build excitement for February?
So actually, we hid it from our
Oh, see,
kids
I could never do that. How do you
until the
do that?
day of.
I could never do
My
that.
sister-in-law and her family knew ahead of time, and so that was difficult because cousins, cousins talk,
Right,
right? So
not a
Um,
chance.
it was yeah, it was hard in that sense, but we managed to keep it a secret the entire time. We got them up, we said, "You're not going to school today." Got them dressed, we let them eat breakfast and everything, didn't say a word, and then we did record them, with us telling them, "Hey, you guys aren't going to school, you're going to Disney World today," and the looks on their faces. My son was like, "I knew it, I knew it." I'm like, "You probably did know it, because we did kind of like we would try to not talk about it. Obviously, there's things you have to talk about. But we would just lie and say, "Oh, well, we're going like in months. We're not going, you don't know when we're going. We're just gonna go at some point." So
I
they
can't
knew we
believe
were going. They had no idea when.
I
So
could never. I've had so many guests come on this show and say that they successfully pulled that off. I can't I couldn't last 15 minutes. I get so
yeah,
excited. I'm like, guess what? I can't keep a secret when it's great news like that. So that's
yeah,
awesome.
it was
But you
hard.
can't reveal. I mean, it's a great memory for them forever because you'll be able to
Yeah,
say that. I just, sorry, my memory happens 5 minutes after I hit the button that says book the trip.
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
been mine just doesn't draw out very long because I can't keep a good secret. Okay, so you guys get there, you get on the shuttle, you're from MCO going over. So tell us about arrival. Give me a review of Bay Lake Tower in practicality once you guys stayed there. What'd you think about it? Did it meet your expectations? What'd you think?
Oh yeah, we absolutely loved Bay Lake Tower. I mean, definitely would consider staying there again. The service hotel was wonderful. We had groceries delivered, just some basics for the morning time. That was a breeze. We had no issues with that. We did garden grocer, and yeah, everything was there. We settled in our room very quickly. Bellhop services brought everything to our room, so it was just a quick and easy. We got in the room, changed, and went on our way in probably a matter of 30 minutes. It was that quick, which was great.
Nice. That is great. Okay, so you guys get there. I know that the next day you're gonna go to Magic Kingdom. I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, it's in your backyard. I mean, you're
Yes,
right there at the doorstep of the Magic Kingdom, but you've gotten there and you don't want to wait. You're gonna wait till the next full day to do that. So how do you
right.
guys fill out this travel day?
Yeah, so originally we wanted to grab some ADRs at Steakhouse 71. I was falling short quite a few times where I was getting staggered because I tried to actually book two different reservations or have my sister in law book one. I booked the other kind of close together. We decided, hey, instead of playing it cool, let's try to go to Disney Springs and go there and check it out. Especially because my kids have not been to Disney World ever. So We ended up going to Disney Springs. We went to Blaze. I actually love Blaze, and it's
Yep.
not very not very close here. But we wanted something quick so we could kind of be on our way and walk around Disney Springs. Got dessert, of course. Went to the ganachery and sprinkles. The kids wanted cupcakes, so we had to oblige and spent a bunch of time walking around. But we figured it was better than just sticking around the hotel that night.
That's a great way to start the trip though, really, because you're getting that taste of Disney. You're getting to
Yep.
walk around because you've been on an airplane all day. You've been traveling. It kind of wakes you back up. It gets that excitement because there's live entertainment at Disney Springs. You're
Yes.
out in the Florida weather, which is kind of, I mean, you guys are from Houston. So it's,
Yeah.
if you're coming from in February in St. Louis, just like, oh my gosh, I don't have to have on a coat. It's
Yes.
shocking. You're just like, this is great. But I mean, you're getting a nice dessert, ganachery, sprinkles, and Place Pizza is a great place to go if you have kids. I mean, if you don't have kids, I mean, it's inexpensive and it's good
Yeah.
pizza. And thing is,
Yes.
everybody can find something they like. Like, I mean, if you're like a picky eater, get a cheese pizza. But if you want, you're on vacation, get something fancy if you want. I mean, that's the whole great place about Blade.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah.
can find something. And in a lot of places, it's hard to do that. Like if you go to Deluxe Burger and somebody doesn't eat meat, you're just kind of out of luck.
Yeah, and I was surprised because we flew in on a Wednesday night. It was hopping. It was
Yeah,
slammed in February on a Wednesday, so just,
Disney likes that.
there you go. I'm
It
sure
makes
they do.
it trip. Okay, so let's hop into the next day. So it's finally time. Let's go to the Magic Kingdom. I'm sure you guys up early, ready to
Oh, yeah.
rock, taking advantage of Genie Plus. I see you, booking that. So,
Yes.
without going through like every attraction you did, give us some of the highlights of the day. I mean, did you get everything you wanted to do? What did you hit all the headliners? How did it
Yeah.
kind of unfold for this day?
Yeah, so, rides were a huge thing for my kids being that they've never been.
Right.
So we definitely wanted to strategize that as much as we could. I know, Mike, you saw my exhaustive list for the first day. Um,
Yeah, I'd
you
have been
know,
exhaustive is right. I haven't ridden this many rides in probably 2021 and 2022 combined.
Yes, between my husband and I, we were eyeing wait times, like crazy. A lot of what we did is we did try to take a few moments just to take pictures, get some magic shots, enjoy Main Street. We did sit and grab some ice cream and tried to meet Mickey and just, even with the go, 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 I think that was probably the best part was just chilling on Main Street, having ice cream with my kids, and their cousins and enjoying the moment. Um, that was definitely a highlight. We didn't Thankfully didn't have any meltdowns that day, which is what my biggest concern it was. My daughter was 4 at the time, and she has never been on like a ride. I mean, not even a carnival ride,
Oh
really.
my gosh, it's just
And
would
so
never like anything else after going to Walt Disney. You're never gonna be able to take her to the fair.
I know, and she is not one to immediately uncling from me. She's very clingy. I was worried to take her on rides, to be honest, but she was like gung ho. She was like, "I want to go on a roller coaster." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what are we gonna do with this child?" So we actually took her. This is my story. We took her on Big Thunder Mountain. Was her first roller coaster,
Okay.
and I have
That's pretty
video
that's a
of
pretty
her.
big that's a pretty big
It was
coaster for a 4-year-old, especially for the very first time, just
And
saying.
I'm literally putting my arm like this, I'm like, "All right, I got you, I got you, I got you." And she was like, "Okay." And then I don't think she liked Big Thunder, but I'll tell you about Slinky Dog Dash because that was a
Okay.
whole different story. She was all on top of that, but she was like a trooper. She basically went on every ride that she could potentially ride based on height requirements. So that was interesting.
She's a brave girl. I mean,
She
4
was.
years old. I mean, Big Thunder that's a serious coaster. I mean, I know it's a family coaster, but I mean, 4 years old,
I was
that's saying
surprised
something.
she said yes, because a lot of the times we were like, "Hey, Elaine, you don't really have to go on this. It's fine. You can stay with, your grandma, whatever." Nope. She was like, "Yeah, I want to go. I want to go." I'm like, "All right, let's do it."
Now, see that you guys did because you were trying to rope drop. It looks like right off the
Yes.
get go there, Seven Dwarfs, and then it had a super
Yeah.
long line already. You guys went with the individual lightning lane. Did she
Yes.
ride that? Because
She
what's the comparison
did.
there? I mean, did
She
she?
did.
Because I think that Seven Dwarves is ex- uh, less thrilling than Big Thunder. Would you agree with me there? I think
Oh,
Big Thunder
yeah.
is more thrilling,
Oh,
like
yeah, I
fast.
agree, and she loved, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, so she was all about everything. I mean, I think she loves The Little Mermaid, so getting to ride that very first, I think, really got her excited for the rest of the day too, so
Very nice. And as I kind of scanned through the day, because you guys were moving through a lot of attractions, which makes a lot of
yes.
sense. It's your
Yes.
kids, they're the perfect age just to, hit all the attractions, especially at that age, flying carpets over in Adventureland are a thrilling attraction. Sometimes when you're just
Yes.
like a couple, you'll skip that. You might do Dumbo for the nostalgia, but you probably skip the flying carpets. Philhar Magic, maybe,
Yep.
maybe not. But I mean, it seems like especially with a first time trip. I mean, I would imagine even Magic when you went in there with your kids, they probably got the biggest kick out of that 3D experience and seeing the characters
Yes.
that they've watched in the movies. I mean,
Yep.
that's my wife's favorite of the Magic Kingdom, to be honest.
Well, and it's funny, we talk about my daughter being good with roller coasters. She does not like anything 3D. We realized that really quick. So Magic, you just see the shutters like, what are you doing to me? I'm like, I okay, take the glasses off, it's fine. I'll hold you the rest of the time. So
So, also, when you were here during the day, another smart move, I think, especially for how it looks like your family dynamic was and the goals of the day, was that you ate counter service for
we
both
did.
lunch and dinner. You did Cosmic Rays and you did Pecos Bills. I mean,
Yes.
it's not you're probably not gonna write home about the meal, but they're themed restaurants. Got a little Tomorrowland, you got a little Sunny Eclipse. I mean, did your
Yep.
kids get a chance to see Sunny Eclipse when you're in there at
They
Pecos
did,
Bill?
they did. They like were just standing there staring at it. They thought it was so cool. Yeah, we definitely aimed to do counter service for most of the trip just because we didn't know if we were going to break off at any point, or what the plan was going to be for my sister-in-law and her family. So we decided counter service was going to be the way to go for us, and so we really strive to do that for the majority of the trip.
I mean, there's so many advantages to that because I know that a lot of us, and I mean, I fall into this trap. This is me talking to myself right here. Is that I always think about, okay, where am I going to eat? I mean, I do that at home
Yes.
too. Like just tonight, I'm like, I went up at like 3:45 tonight, and I'm like, okay, where are we having dinner? Because I got to record it. We got a podcast tonight, so we got to go out into a severe thunderstorm warning. I'm like, we got to leave early to go to dinner.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you only worry about a few things: podcasting, dinner, and running. I'm like, well, yeah,
Yes.
that's pretty much it. But yeah, so I think a lot of times we get carried away with like ADRs, but a lot of times there's so much flexibility in your touring if you just lean on counter service meals, and there's
Yes.
great counter service in all the theme parks, Disney Springs, the resorts. And it gives you, like you said, it gives you flexibility because you're not tied to, I got to be here at 7:25,
Yeah.
or I'm going to be dinged 24 hours before if I'm not committed to that time. So it
Yeah.
seems like that worked well for you.
It worked really well because we strive to kinda let Genie Plus guide our day for the most part, just because we knew we were gonna be doing a ton of rides, and so having, ADRs just probably would not have worked well for us, especially wrangling 10 people around. I didn't wanna deal with that, my sister-in-law didn't wanna have to deal with that, so it definitely worked out in our favor, and I would recommend that, 1,000 times over. We would just do mobile order, go quick, sit down 30, 40 minutes, and we were on our way.
Yeah, mobile order is key too. Don't forget mobile
It is
order is your
key.
friend. It was even better before everybody knew about it. Like before
Yes.
That's the greatest
Yes.
secret ever, but hey, it's still great. Now, let me ask you real quick about it. Using Genie Plus at the Magic Kingdom. Was this
Yeah.
something that you think was a good value for what you paid for it? I mean, was it something you would do again? I want to compare the parks because we're going to talk about the studios on the next day. How'd you feel it
Yes.
worked at the Magic Kingdom for you?
I think it was great at Magic Kingdom. We did Magic Kingdom 2 days because we parked hop over there our last day. It was extremely beneficial at Magic Kingdom. I think between Genie Plus and wait times, I don't think we waited in anything more than 30 minutes, which is pretty good for Magic Kingdom.
Really good. Yep.
So, I mean, we loved every moment of it. We actually had, Jungle Cruise was broken. That was actually our first lightning lane that we had of the day, and it ended up breaking down. And we got one of those experience passes. We were going to choose something else. We ended up sticking with Jungle Cruise, just going later in the day. But I think Genie Plus was definitely how we were able to get as many attractions as we did in that day.
And it makes you just feel like you're getting more, this because I've only used it at Disneyland at this point. But, like I told Scott, like we're standing in two lines at once. As soon
Yeah.
as we hit the touch points, we were selecting our next attraction while we were kind of walking up and boarding and experiencing that attraction. So
Yes.
I'm coming around. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a cheap guy and I miss Fast Pass Plus. It was included with my tickets that were great. But Genie Plus does have its advantages. And you got to look at it as, at this point, probably at least 50% of the guests in the park are going to have Genie Plus. And so
Yes.
if you don't get it, you're putting yourself almost at a disadvantage, which I mean, right or wrong, that's just the facts. And I just don't want to put myself, or especially if I'm traveling with family, at a disadvantage against other
Yeah,
guests. I just
for
want to make sure
sure.
as much done. Because I mean, you're paying all this money to go on vacation. Like I don't want to not pay, an extra $15, and throw
Yeah.
away the $2,000 I spent to go down there. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Wrapping up that day though, what about the fireworks? The kids like the fireworks, everybody like the fire. What'd you guys think of Enchantment?
Yeah, we loved it. My daughter, like, I'll just go back to her. She's the entertainment in the family.
Sounds
She she had her ears closed for the first half of Enchantment, and by the end of it, she was glued. So she absolutely loved it. Everybody loved it. I have a video of everyone watching Enchantment, and we got right. We were pretty much middle of Main Street, and it was like we were dead center on the castle, it was a perfect view for us. So yeah, we loved it. I mean, just seeing my daughter hanging on my husband's shoulders, and
yeah.
that's
It's
just
like
the
that's why
it's just
we're
the
here.
best
Yeah,
moments.
I know, isn't it? It's like you see that, it's like if you don't, you just got to stand back sometimes and just see.
Oh yeah,
Like when I see Mallory and like Pam, just like 14-year-old daughter and her mom, like hey, they're having a good time together.
yeah,
It's like a
I love
teenager
it.
and your mom can have a good time together. Like at Disney, I was like, oh, that's why
The
we
best
travel to
feeling.
the West Coast. It was worth it. It was worth it. It's like
Yes,
totally get exactly what you're saying. All right, next day you guys go to the studios. This is a busy day, and you
it
guys
was
did
a
a
busy
droid.
day.
I gotta ask you about the droids. I see droids in there, and I'm like, God, I want to do a droid, and I want to do a lightsaber. One of these days, I'm gonna do both. But
Yeah.
anyway, I've never done either. So, how does this day unfold? And give us some stories from this day, because this sounds like again exhausting to me. But
Yeah, it was pretty exhausting. So we were actually worried because when we went to book our, we knew we wanted to do individual lightning lane for Rise of the Resistance. We knew off the bat, 100% we wanted to do that. We didn't get a really great time. I think we ended up getting 6:30 at night or 6:40, something really late.
that's crazy.
Um, yeah, it went that fast. So actually, this was the one time I asked my sister-in-law. I'm like, "Look, we got to tag team this. I need somebody to do the individual lightning lane. I need somebody to get Slinky Dog because I
Right.
knew if I did not get Slinky Dog, my family was gonna have it."
Oh,
So,
you gotta read the
um,
room.
yeah, I knew that was gonna go downhill. So we were not happy with the very late time. So I actually, a tip for everyone is to definitely utilize those guest experience umbrellas that you see, the blue
Yes. The
umbrellas,
blue, yeah, the
the
blue,
blue umbrellas.
stands, yes.
Yeah, so I went up there and I said, "Look, I know it's 10 of us. It's a big group, but is there any way we can move our individual lightning lane a little bit earlier?" It was actually right before the second drop that they do at like 7:10. So she tried her hardest, but she couldn't. She almost got me like a 2:30, but no cigar. It's just so hard with 10 people,
Mm,
but I do recommend if you don't get a time that really like for an individual lightning lane, at least give it a shot to go. They might be able to switch you to an earlier time. They weren't in our scenario, but we said it's fine. We're gonna keep moving. Rope dropped Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which was great. Everybody loved that one.
yeah, it never hurts to ask. I mean, that's what I always say at Disney, like, if you're not sure, just ask somebody. I mean, the
Just
worst they
ask.
can say is it can't happen. Like,
Yeah.
if you wanted just a better view, and I mean, sometimes at a hotel, they can give you a better view, probably they're not gonna be able to, but hey, they won't if you don't ask, so
Yeah.
just don't be afraid. It's good. That's a great tip. So,
Yeah.
so you did Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, then it looks like you guys moved into Galaxy's Edge there, did
Yes.
Smuggler's Run. Now, I gotta ask you this because you had enough people where you probably got your own cockpit, right? Because you probably
Yes.
had at least
Yep.
6 people. Did
Yep.
you let the kids pilot?
All right. So this was
How
an
brave were
interesting
you?
one. This was an interesting one. So we had gone. My husband and I by ourselves had gone to Disneyland in July of last year. So we had been on Smuggler's Run. We were both pilots that time. We were like, okay, we couldn't figure it out. I don't know
I can't
what.
I can't
By the
either.
end of
This
it, we
this
were like,
this slows it down.
oh yeah. By the end, we were like, okay, now I kind of understand it. When we got there, I told my husband, like, you and I just pilot again, we'll make the kids the engineers and my mom will be in the back as a gunner. Um, but
Real quick
that
story about the first time I ever rode this, I was by myself. I don't know why I was down there. I was down there for a media thing or something. So I was just in the studios all by myself. Nobody, Scott wasn't there, and my family wasn't there. And I just got thrown in there as like a single rider with a family of 5. And it was just grandma. So it was grandma was I was an engineer. So grandma was an engineer and I was the other engineer. And grandma turns to me and says, "What are we supposed to be doing, sir?" I said, "I don't know, but if it lights up, just push the button." She's like, "All righty." And that was
there
our
you go. So
yes, no, but go ahead. I totally feel your pain.
yeah, so my daughter decided that she wanted to be a pilot. And yeah, we'll just
Right.
say that it was a rough ride. And this is me controlling. If y'all can't, I know some of you can't see, I had both hands on both controllers stretched out as far as humanly
Mhm.
possible,
Yep.
trying to control the Millennium Falcon. And let's just say it was like an 18% accuracy ride. I apologize to my family, but it was me doing both both handles. So
And the guy's just constantly yelling at you, like, it's like, "Don't yell at me. I don't know how to fly this thing. It doesn't handle like my Jeep,
oh
back off."
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I had to ask 'cause it's inevitably the kids get up in the front seat.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you guys did some other attractions. It says you guys split for lunch. So how did lunch work out at the studios?
Yeah, so we ended up splitting. We did ABC commissary and baseline tap. And so, we wanted something different than my sister-in-law's family. So we just kind of did a split. We ended up finishing around the same time, enough time to get onto Star Tours and continue our day. But yeah, it was good. We enjoyed our meal. All of our quick service, we were not disappointed in. Sometimes it can get repetitive, but we enjoyed it, so it was good.
I could ABC Commissary has my, buffalo chicken, grilled cheese sandwich. It
Oh
has the best
yeah,
steak fries. I could go for that. I could have that 6 days a week, and I'd be totally fine.
yeah,
I'd probably be dead, but I'd be totally fine
yeah,
until okay, so, after lunch, though, it looks like you guys got to do Slinky Dog.
yes,
So you said you had a story for that. Now, again, your 4-year-old Big Thunder, again, still 20 minutes later in the show here, I'm still impressed by that, but she also did
yeah.
Slinky.
She did, and that was her absolute favorite ride. My
Wow.
kids will watch, YouTube videos of rides. They're those kids that sit, and my daughter will like, "Hey, can we watch Epcot?" And I'm like, "All right, sure, let's put it on
I love
TV."
it. Yep, I love
So Slinky Dog Dash was her absolute favorite. Immediately after, she said, "Can we go back?" And I said, "It's a 90-minute wait. No, we're not going back."
right.
But, if I could have snagged another lightning lane for her, I 100% would have. But we have a great video of her on that ride, just smiling like crazy. She was having the time of her life.
That's what it's all about. Okay, so I
Yeah,
wanna make sure we get all this in 'cause we have about 10 minutes left. We got a whole lot to talk about the
I know.
droids. They got to build
Yes.
droids. How's that experience? Because I haven't I've seen it from afar, but what's the experience like kind of up close and personal?
So it was a great experience. I mean, you walk in, you kind of tell them what droid you want to do, pay in advance. And then you kind of get situated and pick your pieces. You get a little basket, pick everything out. We let our kids choose between droids or lightsabers. Well, my son was going to do both, but we opted for the plastic ones at Star Traders, which
Good
my
call.
kids were,
They gotta have
psyched
something
about.
they gotta have something aspirational for when they're older and they can be
Exactly.
an adult, they get the real lightsaber.
Exactly, but the droids were awesome. So every kid, actually, my sister-in-law's 3 kids ended up doing it as well. So we have pictures of the 5 droids, rolling around Galaxy's Edge. They did do
Cool.
some playtime after the fact, and we went with R2's because BB-8's head pops off quite a
Right.
bit. And so I think we were happy with that choice. We saw the droids battling, and none of the BB-8s made it out alive. So
Yeah, I think those astromech droids are a little bit
yes,
hardier or whatever they're called. I have to ask Dennis. Yeah.
yeah,
They're a little bit more hardy than like the Spiro type droids. Yeah, but I mean,
they
God,
are.
as a kid though, that is I mean, what am I saying as a kid? As an adult, that's the coolest thing ever. I mean, it's just so cool that they bring those kind of experiences where you get to take
Yeah.
the kids still play with them at home. I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the
Yeah,
ultimate
they're constantly in my living room because my kids will just grab them and drive them around, and they like to scare the dog, so, you know.
right? Oh my god. See, I'd have loved to have something like that as a kid, man. I would have
Yeah.
killed for it. It'd have been so cool. Now, another thing I've never done that you guys did, Docking Bay 7. What was that about? Because I've never been in there.
Yeah, that was actually I was really impressed with the food there. It was really fresh and light, which was what we needed after eating heavy for the past couple days.
And sometimes you
Um,
seriously, Disney will get you that
yeah.
way. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
gosh, I need a salad or something.
Yeah, it was great. It was really light. We got, some chicken and veggies and just kind of, took it easy there. And so we yeah, we absolutely loved Docking Bay 7. That was probably one of our favorite meals that day.
That's awesome. Yeah, I gotta get in there someday. I always go for the Ronto roaster if I'm in the neighborhood there.
Yes.
Just, okay, I know it's just like a hot dog, but it's like the
But it's
Star Wars
good.
first. It's so good. The breakfast one's the bomb. Okay, no, so that day you kind of you did one of my favorite things again. This is nobody talks about this ever at the studios, but I think it is one of the most underrated things on property at Walt Disney World, the Frozen sing along.
Yes.
You guys have as much fun as I do every time I see this? I just think these
Yes.
talented actors and actresses, and the show is just always a hoot. I love the show.
Yeah, we had a blast. That was the last thing we did that night, and we were pretty tired, but we were laughing the entire time. My husband and I were cracking up. The kids were having a blast. My daughter was loving it. I mean, princesses, galore. So she was loving it, and we even had my nephews joined us in there, and they even liked it, and they're older boys, and they still got a kick out of it. So it was good.
They got something for everybody, like
Yeah.
the dads, the little girls, the moms, the even the 2 cool teens, and
Yep.
tweens.
Yep.
They'll laugh and like you'll turn them like, "You just laughed," and they're like, "No, I didn't."
Yeah.
It's like, "Yeah, you did. I got you."
Exactly. Call them out on it.
Exactly. Okay. Now that night though, you guys hopped. You guys again, I'm exhausted just talking about this show, so I don't know how you made it through. But you guys did because you guys were at Bay Lake Tower, so you did the evening deluxe extended hours over at the Magic Kingdom.
Yes.
So how did that work out for you guys? I mean, at least you guys were close to home. You're basically just kind of going home and you were just like stopping on the way.
Yes.
That's how I see it.
Well, so actually, we took the kids back to the hotel,
Okay.
since we had my mom with me, we opted to leave the kids with her. We got them ready for bed in bed, and then my husband and I went since it was our anniversary. We're like, this is a
I was gonna say,
great.
didn't this start off as your anniversary trip? I hope you guys
It
got
did, it did, yeah, so, we thought that was a great opportunity for us to just get away by ourselves. We had a couple PhotoPass photographers take some pictures in front of the castle, which was great. We did Astro Oberdur, which, isn't my favorite, but it's great at night, so we loved every minute, and we just grabbed a snack and sat and just, enjoyed the quiet. It is quiet if you do the evening
right.
hours, which was really nice.
You you just hit where I love just sitting on a bench, having a snack, and just
Yep,
watching them because there's no better people watching and just taking in just taking it all in. I don't even know,
yep,
like, the
yes,
atmosphere, you could say all these things, but just realizing how lucky you are, sitting on a bench at Walt Disney World, at anywhere, the Magic Kingdom, Epcot, at your resort, eating an ice cream sandwich, a Dole Whip, whatever you have, and just saying,
yeah,
"How lucky am I to be here?" I just
yeah.
too many people are like rushing, rushing, rushing. Like if you can just sit down and just take 20 minutes and just be
Yeah,
so great, yeah, and perfect for your anniversary.
it
Now,
was
see,
perfect.
I won't do that though because I'll just keep running. I'm like, I should have. And you get home, you're like, I should have just sat on a bench for 20 minutes. That would have
Yeah.
been ideal. Okay, so the next day, since you're kind of your last full day, let's get this in
Mhm.
here. You guys went to Epcot to start the day. So how does that go? How does your Epcot day work?
Yeah, so that was the day we actually split off from my sister-in-law. They wanted to do some Universal time, so they went to off to Universal. We knew we wanted to do Epcot. That was actually a weird day. Actually, the past 2 days had been really hot for February. It was like probably close to 80, 80 degrees. So we were pretty hot, and then it dropped to 50s that last day, and rain and clouds. So it was not exactly what we were expecting, but we ran with it. Genie Plus was a little bit tough at Epcot, just because of the amount of attractions. We did do the individual lightning lanes for Remy and Frozen because we knew those two were definitely ones we wanted to get on. But we really just walked around World Showcase. I really brisk walked, because of Festival of the Arts. It was pretty slammed, and that was like I think a Saturday, so
Mhm.
it was really slammed. We didn't really want to spend the entire day at Epcot, just knowing how busy it was going to continue to get. So we hit the rides we wanted to hit and kind of said peace out, and went to Magic Kingdom after that.
That makes sense. I mean, because especially when you go there on the weekends during a festival, the locals are all there. Everybody's
Yes.
coming out to to get their snack on and they're drinking and everything. It just happens. But I mean, it looks like you
Yes.
still got three caballeros, which it's one of my favorite little unsung, attractions. You can get to get inside the Mexico
Yeah.
Pavilion and have a good time there and soaring and stuff. So not too bad. All right, and you
Yeah.
got to do Remy and stuff. So, okay, so you guys hopped over to Magic Kingdom. So to
Yes.
kind of do okay, so after you hopped over there, you're kind of finishing up, I guess, kind of doing either what you missed or what you wanted to do one more time before you went home the next day. How'd you
Yes.
kind of handle it? Because it's kind of that sad, or it's kind of like frantic slash kind of that sad, like last part of the trip.
Yeah, we took it easy for the second half of the day. We knew the rides that we didn't hit the first day. Peter Pan was a big one. And then we wanted to do a little bit of the nostalgia. Tiki Room. Tiki Room is one of my favorites. That's one I vividly remember growing up. So that was one that we definitely wanted to hit. We wanted to get to some of the princesses. We tried to do the things that my sister-in-law's family wasn't really keen on. They did stay with us for the majority of the trip, but for the things that they weren't really crazy about, we that was a lot of what we hit at Magic Kingdom that last day. So princesses, meet and greets, all of that was what we strive to do that
Very cool.
last bit.
So, and then the last morning, I like how you finished it out. I mean, you weren't going to the parks this last day before you headed back, it looks like, to the airport, but you guys were at Bay Lake Tower and you wrapped up with a morning breakfast at Chef Mickey's. I mean,
Yes.
it was like Mickey sending you home. You're having a good meal. You get that food in your belly before you travel. I mean, that sounds like a really good way to kind of wrap up the trip. Did it work out the way I'm thinking?
Yeah, it did 100%. So that was the one ADR that I knew that I wanted to get was Chef Mickey's. I wanted a character breakfast in general for the kids, and being at Bay Lake Tower, it Chef Mickey's just made sense.
Right.
So yeah, it was a great way to kind of close out the trip. Still in the little Disney bubble, we would just sit afterwards, and we did a little bit of shopping and sat and just stared at, Magic Kingdom from the
Yeah.
balcony, from afar, but it was a perfect way to end it.
Oh man, what this is a great way to start the week though, because it took us to the theme parks, it took us to Bay Lake Tower, family memories. This is great. So as we wrap up here, do you have any one tip that maybe you learned from the trip that could help folks maybe traveling with, different families traveling together, or maybe just one more story from the trip that this is going to kind of be what you remember from this trip, that you didn't share yet. Any kind of final thoughts from this trip report?
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely recommend traveling with other family members or friends if you do get the opportunity to do so. It just adds another level of, I guess, awesome to trip. It can get tricky at times. A key thing for us was just trying to take it easy. We were go go go. I mean, park, rope drop to park close pretty much every single day. But we did try to just take in those little moments, and I definitely just appreciate where you are. Take the little moments sitting with your kids and your family members or whoever you're with, and just enjoy it. It For us, we know it's not going to happen, probably in another year or so, but um, I think for us it was just the most memorable trip because we did try to take those small moments to just be together and enjoy the time.
That's what it's about. We plan for all these, details and all the big moments, the big meals and the individual lightning lanes and how we're going to get our ninth and 10th attraction out of our Genie Plus payment that we did for that day. But in the end, like you said, it's the time you spend with your significant other on a bench, having a snack, a Dole Whip, or like you said, watching your kids interact together during a fireworks
Yeah.
show, or building the droid, or just hanging out together on a curb waiting for a parade to go by. Really,
Yeah.
that is the
100%.
small moment. I'm glad you brought up that term, the small moments, because I think we get so caught up in like the minutia of the planning of a trip, and I think that's really what our podcast is about. It's about, coming up with strategies to get the most out of your vacation. But in the end, I think what you're going to get the most enjoyment out of are the small things. That's a
Oh,
good point.
yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
It was a lot for me planning, all of it, but I can tell you all of that is a blur compared to those moments that we shared together, so.
Well, man, I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. It's a great way to start the week, and sounds like you had a great trip, and it sure made me happy. It's a great way. I love doing these shows because
Yeah.
I get the first listen as we record these
Yes.
things, and hope everybody enjoys it today. But you guys stay awesome down in Houston. Good luck to the Astros, and
Thank you,
maybe my
thank you.
Cardinals will see you in October.
Yeah,
I
sounds
can only hope.
good.
I can only hope. All right, thanks so much. You have a great week.
Thank you, you too.
All right, don't forget today's show always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Check them out for all your Disney trip planning needs. The agents are standing by right now to help you plan an awesome Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney trip. All you need to do is swing by themagicforless.com today. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click really does help us out. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And finally, a huge shout out to our patrons. You guys make all this podcasting possible. You allow us to put this show out 3 to 4 times a week all around the world. We could not do this without you. And our patrons get that bonus show. That's right. You sometimes get 5 shows in a week. You get Mike in the Midwest. If you'd like to join us, come on over. We'd love to have you. Patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. Give me a follow on the social media. I'd love to talk to you this week. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike on Instagram and Twitter. We'd love a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you have a few minutes this week, that'd mean a lot to us. And don't forget, this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, we turn the show over to you and take your phone calls about all things Disney. We'll be on Facebook and YouTube Live. Again, this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. It's you, me, and Scotty G. So come on over and be a part of the show. All right, time to get out of here and let you get on with your week. Let's make this week awesome. We've got it started the right way. Let's keep it rolling right along into Wednesday when we answer your listener questions. So for Amanda, I'm Mike, wishing you an awesome Monday. Time to get back to work. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Da-da-da. That was awesome, Amanda. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course, anytime.
That was a good show. And I've never stayed at Bay Lake Tower. I've never gone to docking bay.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is, like, I do these shows and I'm like, God, I haven't done that. I haven't done that.
Yeah.
Times. But
Yeah, it
that's the
was
cool thing about
great.
the place. So many things to do. And I've never built a droid. I'm gonna
Gotta
someday.
do that. You
Someday.
gotta do it. It's cool. It's a cool experience.
It is, but if I come like because I go on these media trips, but if I come rolling home with like a lightsaber or a droid, my wife will kill me.
My husband built one in Disneyland last year, so I
Oh,
recorded every moment of it so that
see,
we.
that'd be cool. That'd be cool. The weird thing when we went to Disneyland last month, we never did even go into Galaxy's Edge
Oh, really?
because like I've been in there so many times at
Yeah.
World, I didn't want to waste my time because I know it's pretty much like a duplicate. Like I just wanted
Yeah.
to do all the stuff that I've never done at Disneyland and DCA. So I
Yeah.
did. But I mean, I can't believe like we got home and I'm like, I never even set foot. I didn't even turn the corner to go in there. It's
Yeah.
the time I saw it was from the train.
Yeah,
And yeah,
we were over there when fireworks were happening doing his droid because we didn't we're like, we're not carrying or the lightsaber. I'm like, we're not carrying this around all day. So I did like a 9 o'clock reservation for it. So
that'd be
it
cool
worked
when
out.
it's dark carrying that thing
Oh
around.
yeah, we took pictures because nobody was in front of the Millennium
It's
Falcon.
so cool. I was there. I was at World on May the 5th. Or no, May the 4th, whatever. May the
Yeah.
4th be with you twice and dark, man. Everybody's got their light because all the
Oh
super
yeah.
nerds are there that night. And like everybody's got their lightsabers, like, oh, this is so cool. I gotta get one.
Yeah.
Like, just Mike, you don't have to get one. Yes, I
Yeah.
do. It's an internal
They're
switch.
cool, but I'll tell you what, it's just sitting in our room right
Exactly.
now.
That's
So
exactly. That's what I ask everybody gets them. I'm like, okay, what's it doing now? Is it in a box? Is it hanging? Because at least it needs to be like hanging in your office, like right over your desk, and it needs to be illuminated.
yeah.
I don't know. It needs to be doing something cool for that.
I know. We do have like every Kyber crystal though, so that
There
is
you
pretty
go.
cool.
That's
My
awesome.
my son wanted to be the Mandalorian for Halloween, so we actually he actually carried the lightsaber around. We're like, we might as well get some use out of this
Oh my
thing.
gosh, yeah, I'd be so nervous. I'm like, be careful, be careful.
Oh, we ended up carrying it like 90% of
I
the
was
time.
gonna
Don't
say,
worry about it.
it's cool. I know you want to use it, but then you don't. Like I'm like, no, don't break that thing because I would
I
not. I
know.
wouldn't even trust Mallory with like to carry it across the living room. Like she's clumsy.
It's heavy. They are heavy.
No way.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'm gonna edit this thing and get it up there. It'll be out on Monday. I appreciate your
Sounds
time, and
good.
if you ever need
Yeah.
anything, just give me up. But thanks again.
Yeah. Anytime. Glad I
All
could
right,
help.
sure, take care.